Staff does not support MS6 in this location. It's surrounded by SF2 and SF3 in the immediate vicinity in all directions. Multifamily 6 is supposed to be located in centrally located areas with transportation and commercial facilities adjacent to central business district or major employment centers. Again, we do not support MF6 because intensive multifamily should be located along major arterials and highways. The zoning should be compatible with adjacent and nearby uses and consistent with existing and approved local residential densities.
Commissioners, Victoria Hasse with Fairway Design on behalf of the property owners. It's currently zoned SF3, which allows up to 2 dwelling units on more than 2.5 acres of land that's on an activity and transit corridor. This is hardly efficient or smart use of land for this location as we move forward in the future. We're asking why MF6 and not some other MF zoning district. And the driving force for the MF6 request is for dwelling unit density and impervious cover. Next, the rezoning will allow for infill development along an Imagine Austin growth concept corridor. It will assist the city's desire to have compact development that will contribute to transit-supported density, all lending to a healthier, more sustainable, and inclusive community.
Netherton, and I'm the Executive Director of the Travis Audubon Society here in Austin. Blair Woods, as it has come to be known, is one of 3 sanctuaries that Travis Audubon owns and maintains. Since we see the preserve as a community asset that we hope to share with children and families in the relatively nature-deficient part of Austin. Travis Audubon opposes the request for the adjacent property at 5201 East MLK to be developed with an MF6 zoning. We support the City of Austin and Stonegate Neighborhood Association's assessment that a lower density zoning designation would be more appropriate for the site. Our main opposition to MF6 concerns the high density and impervious cover allowances for surface parking. Blair Woods is home to Coleman Springs. The possibility of flooding and pollution of this water source from runoff from the proposed 80% impervious cover is a huge concern for the overall health of the preserve. Damage to the springs would have detrimental effects to the wildlife and habitat at Blair Woods.
This quaternary springs depends on surface rain infiltration in the nearby basin. The proposed MF6 zoning will allow up to 80% impervious cover on the adjacent property. This could well cause the end of this historic spring with all the detrimental effects you can imagine to the pond and the wetlands.
We're not signed up. I actually can't let you because it's the rules that were posted for this hearing. Let me check on your sign up.
I mean, I have the email from Andrew saying that I can speak on both of these issues, but he said, I have you registered calling from my phone number, and then it says the call number and additional information will be provided Tuesday afternoon, which never came.
Mr. Schlarp is confirmed.
On the character and the diversity of the neighborhood. You know, traditionally these houses are passed down from parents to their children, but this is occurring less and less because either the property taxes are too high or people just don't want to live in an area where their green space and privacy don't exist. So when you specifically say that these developments don't have anything to do with the racist history of Austin or the general gentrification of Austin, I very much disagree. So this is from an email from Andrea Pettit. We are concerned with flooding, lack of vegetation, and a need for engineers to produce concrete examples of past successes of serious flooding occurrences where a pond water drainage system that your civil engineers presented to us were successful. Also, we are aware the city staff recommends MS3, which is a smaller zoning option. At the same time, the developer wants more units, which is up to 80% impervious cover, which will cause flooding. We are concerned with both the MLK and Halpin Lane projects that the same developer is involved with, and the potential for a developer not to be thinking in a holistic manner about fitting the 2 projects in with the existing look and atmosphere of our existing neighborhood. The Commission prove whose interests you truly care about and keep the zoning at SF3. Single-family homes, keeping in character with the neighborhood. And with that, I yield.
Is the applicant bound to this agreement? Should we pass this zoning to MF6? I mean, is there something holding them to this, providing the affordable housing, or is that not the case?
So if we, I think this is for the staff. If we vote for MF6, is there any certainty that this will be developed as a smart property? I just wasn't clear on what the answer was.
Heather Chapin, Planning and Zoning. At this stage, no, it's at the site plan stage where things like the actual design and the number of units are designed, and that's when the issue of whether or not certificates of occupancy can be issued is established. At this stage, it's just that it's proposed and has the smart housing certification.
Would just suggest to the parties, I would like to see this case move along. It's a lot of affordable housing and exactly where we want it on a transit line. I don't want to see the case delayed.
It is on a transportation priority network, but these are vulnerable areas, and I think we were asked to kind of limit the amount of density along these particular TPNs. We don't have any guarantees for affordable housing, even though that's the direction that the applicant seems to be going, but we don't know if that's really going to happen.
Mr. Anderson?
I'd like to make a substitute motion
Go ahead.
that we go for MF6 as the applicant is requesting.
I have a second. Second by Commissioner Thompson. Commissioner?
Bump that up. One big thing here is management. So we have a rental community trying to have on-site management for 70 rental homes. It just doesn't work. There's a kind of a sweet spot for that, and that's 200 to 300 homes. And so the cost is going to be roughly the same to manage a 200-unit building as far as overhead of actual staff as it is 70 units.
In support of the original motion and not this motion, the substitute motion, and the reason is very much because of the preserve and because of my understanding of the way that the Colorado River winds underneath us, especially in this part of town, and feeds different springs and the ways that development impacts that and also impacts the urban canopy. And I say that because East Austin hasn't had a lot of attention to its springs and its last chunks of urban canopy, especially along Airport Boulevard, especially along these kinds of corridors, things that you can never get back. And while I know there are some people who might say that housing is a big priority in the Eastern Crescent, I know many, many, many people of the Eastern Crescent who strongly disagree, don't feel that they should choose between housing and green space, or to choose between something a need, housing, and as critical a need as protection and the quality of life that green space and wildlife offer.
So I spent some time working with the applicant on this case, and my first reaction was, can we work something out with Audubon and find a way that this will get good for them? And from the one side that I heard was that the applicant's opinion, there are a lot of things that could be done to mitigate the increase in impervious cover. And when I look at the totality of circumstances around this motion, if there's a way to do MF6 in a way that doesn't impact this preserve.
Just while I'm against, so you have no guarantee that we're going to get affordable housing. Everybody's sitting here counting the numbers, and we don't have it. We have nothing. So why are we acting like we're going to get it? We're voting MF6, and you got to assume you're going to get no affordable housing, and you got to assume that when you give this away. So I don't like it when we're acting like we're going to get all these protections. The applicant should have already done their homework and worked with the Audubon Society and already come up with the RC for protecting, done all this. We're adding little notes to our motion. That does nothing. They should have come to us with firm agreements. Just because we add little notes and pass it on to council, we're not getting anything out of that. We're kind of making ourselves feel better, but we have to assume we'll get nothing but MF6, no protection, no affordable housing. When you vote for MF6, that's what we're getting.
On the table is for MF6 with a 60-foot cap in the CO. All in favor? Green? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All opposed? Red. 1, 2, 3, and abstaining. 2. 6, 3, 2. Yep, and that is not sufficient votes to pass the motion. So show your green. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All opposed. 3, and all abstaining. None. So 8-3. So the motion passes for staff recommendation for MF3. Shay, do you want to remake your motion to reconsider the vote on item B12?
Yes, I'd like to reconsider the vote on item B12. I voted for it, so I'd like to reconsider that.
Great. Do I have a second who voted in favor to rescind? Commissioner Czar seconds. So this would allow, after we take this vote, if we approve it, we would retake the vote for the recommendation on B12, and if that vote fails, we would be able to consider a postponement. So, I'm sorry, I think I had, that is 9-2. So the motion to reconsider passes.
I think from a process point, this is extremely troubling. I think we had an entire public hearing on this case, and we had quite a bit of opposition, and we had a lot of discussion around the merits of all of it. I think, I'm glad there will be time for there to be more conversations with the applicant, but I'm not sensing a real desire to do major changes that are going to change the dramatic impact of this in a permanent way on an environmentally sensitive area. But from a process point, I'm completely against this. I didn't understand what we were doing when it started, and I'm confused about where we are now, and I expect the city and commissioners to be proactive in making sure the community knows what's happening, because from their standpoint, they waited hours to speak in a public hearing, and it was finally done. And now all of a sudden, it's back, and it's a different outcome. So I don't think this is good, and I don't think we should be doing it.